folks, Gareth here, and this is a bit of a challenge. We're going to attempt to build a computer using products purchased solely from Ryclit for under £300. And this is where we're going to start with the ATX computer case. This is the Intertech K11. It retails for about £33.61 on Ryclit. Now, the reason why we've gone for this particular case over other cases is because this one includes a 500 watt power supply. That's a pretty good start for where we can build a machine from. Obviously, you can change that out, swap it out at a later date if you need to. However, it eliminates one expense quite early on, and from the description and the pictures, actually looks like a pretty decent bit of hardware. The case has 6 PCI slots, 2 USB 2.0s on the front alongside the headphones and microphone sockets, and mountings for 3 fans, one 92mm fan on the back and 2 120mm fans on the left hand side. So now we've managed to get the case undressed from its packagings, we can have a look at the front. It has this nice kind of brushed plastic look. However, if you look carefully, you can notice there is a bit of a ding on the plastic, and I'm pretty sure that didn't happen on the way out of the packaging. The brushed plastic look actually gives it quite an elegant look. It certainly doesn't look £33 worth of case, and it shimmers in the light quite nicely. It is a nice finish to the case and really adds a little extra to it. And we have the controls on the case. This is a reset button. There's a USB 2 just here alongside the microphone connector and the headphone socket, another USB 2 and the power button. The reset button is actually kind of difficult to press, which is usually a good thing. You're not going to press it by accident, that's for sure. And then the power button is easy to get at, quite accessible, and gives a satisfying click. Moving around the case, on the side here we have nothing, just a big lump of metal. On the back we have the power supply here, which is a 500 watt. You can see the connector on the left hand side there. It says AC 230 volts. Now, bearing in mind that this comes from Ryclit, who is a German company, that's a bit of a relief, because it could have been some kind of weird European variant. Here we have the 92mm fan grill. We have these nice thumb screws here as well, which just pull off, and they are simply just a screw with a plastic collar around it, as opposed to being some kind of formed metal or plastic. That allows us to get into the case very easily without tools, but I guess you can use a screwdriver if you want to. There we have the power supply inside, and unfortunately it isn't a brand name power supply. However, it is a 60 Hz frequency with a current of 5.5 amps and the voltage is 230 volts, and that all totals up to around about 500 watts. We have a power connector in here, which does actually have a European plug on it. However, it's a standard kettle lead, so given that that's a 230 volt power supply, we should be alright to hook it up to a typical UK mains adapter. Also, hanging inside here, we have a couple of bits and pieces which have been added. There's a blanking plate here as well, which we can attach in if we're not going to be using all of the ports around the back. We also get a little baggie full of screws and nuts and bolts for attaching things inside the case, which is somewhat standard. So we already have the mounts inside for where the motherboard goes, and the motherboard should fit quite nicely in there, and there's a decent amount of connectors and things hanging above for us to hook it up quite easily. This piece of metal here is going to prove a bit of a pain because you can't remove it. It does say SSD goes this way and HDD goes this way, so your hard disks go one way and your SSDs cling to the wall. And then there's some cable management sections here for us to place cables into to keep them in out of the way. And around this side, under these thumb screws, there should be some more cable management to be able to put the redundant cables that we will connect up once and just leave until the computer dies. They can run along here, maybe for your fans or for your power supply to your motherboard and things, just to keep them all out of the way and keep it as tidy as possible, so you can access the inside of the case as you need in the future for upgrades or for basic repairs. So on the front we have an access door for a 5.25 inch drive and a 3.5 inch drive for either CD-ROM drive or 3.5 inch floppy, or perhaps some kind of control panel, extra expanded USBs, and those sorts of things, memory card readers and the like. It's just a nicer way to get into the machine without having to rely on those USB ports on the front or perhaps around the back quite so often. So connector wise, there's a bunch of different wires and things in here for us to hook up the standard bits of hardware, and we'll have a quick go through them and see how many there are of each and the like. They are not particularly well put together. There's no stockings over them, if you like, or much in the way of cable management, save for a few cable ties midway down the actual connection. However, they are colourful, I'll give them that. There's one of the cable ties there. It is just a standard cable tie snipped off. And there we have the motherboard power connector, a connector for the graphics card, which should come in too, depending on what graphics card you have, or you can divide it up and plug one into the CPU fan if necessary. Then we have some power connectors for IDE drives and some SATA power connectors as well. And then over here we have a bunch of other connectors for the controllers on the front of the case itself, the hard disk drive lights and reset buttons and things, which will all hook up directly into the motherboard. So when all said and done, despite the fact it might be missing a fan, it actually looks like a pretty decent case for the money. You're going to be hard pressed to find any better value for £33 that include the power supply. The power supply may not be the most reliable, and you will probably want to exchange it at a later date for a better, more recognized power supply. However, at 500 watts, this is pretty good. It's a good starter case, and it takes all of our components, which we're about to delve into now. So thanks to RightClick for the opportunity to do this, and we're going to take you through each of the bits individually and build a computer that costs just under £300. So check the playlist and subscribe for further updates over the next few days as we put it all together. Thanks for watching.